Whoa, we are back with some Bleach Soul Resonance. And if you managed to catch the short I posted last night, right around, I don't know if I kept the message. I didn't keep the message, but we got our 10 character tickets, which is really cool, right? We got our 10 free-to-play tickets, which completes the 10 free-to-play tickets we got here and the 10 free-to-play tickets we got here. And if you're someone who's wondering like whether you should, dump them here or, wait for Nell, it really is user, whatever you want. It's not like a insanely bad choice to try for another Kenpachi. Say you have B0 Kenpachi, or try for a Kenpachi weapon stamp. Say you have B0 weapon stamp. So long as you have been saving, if you're a new player, if you're like brand new, you have a lot of jade to collect over the next 3 weeks, so you should easily get Neliel and weapon no matter what. If you're someone who's been a long time, you should have had more than enough time to regather your resources, unless you went all in on Kenpachi or something. Like you just kept pulling, which is also fair. You should pull for who makes you happiest. But as I said, if you watched that clip, that short, I did end up grabbing Kenpachi's first boundary off of those 10 tickets, which is pretty dope, I'm not gonna lie. I was really surprised. I was kind of just doing it as a bit, like, oh, let's turn on OBS and make a joke out of it. And then I saw that mask go red, so that was pretty interesting, I'm not gonna lie. Spiritual pressure gained from releasing special attacks is increased by 100%, and the damage dealt by special attacks is increased by 50%. While I think sometimes it's hard to understand like what boundaries are the most worth it. Like by far, this boundary is still the most worth it. This is like the boundary for Kenpachi, right? But like, for example, I saw people wondering like, B1 Gin versus B1 Aizen. And the reason you might have that question a lot of times is because you think that like, oh, Gin is the, DPS of the team. So obviously he would have like an Ascension that's like really good, and it's like, no, not really. You do have to go case by case. Like Aizen's start getting complete compression, getting 50% battlefield skill energy. This thing is insane the first time you play with it. Go into full release or whatever the event is called, where you fight the bosses. Use the Aizen that they give you like as a limited character, like a free rent a character, and press like his buttons, and you'll be like, whoa, okay, this is like different. Right? That is sort of how I like gauge it. Same thing with like this Yodahara. I didn't take this Yodahara because 10 extra slash damage, 10% extra slash damage is good. I took it because if I get this, it's like really good. You know what I mean? So while I think that it is sometimes difficult to understand, well, what's so good about like 100% increased, the 50% damage, obviously, it allows him to rotate into his spiritual burst really fast. He gets into this really fast now. I'd say like, I want to say like 1.5 rotations less on average. That I'm just pulling that out my ass, but I have tried him. I want to say like 1.5 rotations less if I'm just pulling a figure out of my ass. So, for example, we're still top 76 here, right? We're still doing pretty well, all things considered. But where is it? I think this resets today. I did it in training, so I don't think I'd be able to see it, which is sad. But we'll get into that. I'll definitely make a video recording with him doing that now that we have it. But next on the docket is Hueco Mundo Showdown Part 2 is out, which means you have a ton of rewards to get to, by the way. Make sure you pull these. They're very easy to do. You do not need, a particularly insane core team to get this done. So long as you have any team built, it's pretty light, especially because we have Gin rerunning for the people who are new. We have 95,866 on the left, 90,200 on the right. It's actually been a day, or, I've slept since I've done this. So let's see what our ranking's still at. Top 20. So we're clocking in at 51 in outer and 63 in inner, which is pretty good. I'll have to come back in here and do it once Neliel drops. I assume this will be up by the time, yes, 9 more days, she will definitely be out. Neliel, by the time this video comes out, will be out in 2 days. So I will have to get back to that when she actually drops and try her out. As far as Neliel goes, she looks absolutely positively broken. Again, I'm trying to post less leaks, post about less leaks, but if any of what we're seeing is to be believed, remember when Kenpachi dropped, we had a lot of misgivings about what he would be. We had a lot of thoughts about like, oh, Kenpachi's gonna have this, he's gonna be a character who has 70% crit and he won't even have to build any crit, like things like that. And obviously that turned out not to be the case entirely. They actually buffed him, they gave him the crit here, 20% of it, and now he's a very respectable character. But we do know that at the very least she has a bond that seems very useful, and she has what seems to be a crit increase just on passive, so she should be extremely strong. And with dupes, maybe even without dupes for a lot of teams, she seems to at least be on Aizen's level, if not better. But we'll have to, that's still yet to be seen, right? We can't just throw that out. I do want to say that a lot of people are wondering, like, I've seen some people who are new, they want to get Bankai Ichigo on the reroll. They want to, they might want to do this, that. It doesn't look like he's gonna catch a buff anytime soon. If you still want Bankai Ichigo, I mean, he's not a useless character. Please don't get it twisted. Just because Bankai Ichigo is very obviously worse than Kenpachi does not mean he's like some useless character. I also saw people asking, do you need Kenpachi's weapon? Please, if you are someone re-rolling or pulling for Kenpachi, do not leave without his weapon. Oftentimes his weapon is literally the thing doing the most damage. I'd say if it's not doing the most damage, it's doing the second most damage in his kit, and it's doing like 90% of whatever the most damage is. So it's doing 90% of what your ult value would be, or your spiritual burst value would be. Do not leave without Blade of Lament if you are pulling for him. Arguably, this is like a dupeable thing to get. Like, this is a chase item. I don't want to leave off with nothing though. So because we have perfect amount too. Because we have one dupe of Kenpachi, I'm going to double pull on this banner. I know some people might be, I've talked about like priming the banner, talking about like settling the banner at a certain point, because I'm willing to either grab one or the other. In this case, I plan to probably dupe either B2 Kenpachi here, and these two temples would be huge. If not, I'm planning to try to dupe at least one dupe Neliel if her kit and boundaries are what they say they are, because I will get her limited stamp extremely fast. This will be done extremely fast. It's at 27. I have 3 tickets already, so for all intents and purposes, this is guaranteed. This is already one pull will guarantee this, right? Where conversely, I have, what is it? I have one B1 here, and I have one weapon of his. If this misses, it's just fodder for Nell. And if it hits, I get a B2 Kenpachi. So we will be priming this banner. It would be pretty cool to hit. Kenpachi is one of my favorite characters. My strategy, quote unquote, strategy, in a gambling game strategy. I consider banner strategy to be how you think about pulling. This next celebration will be considered a major celebration for the game. We can already see that. By the time it ends, we will have gotten this, that, and the third amount of, resources. An insurmountable amount coming into what will probably be a much less rewarding, like Grimjaw or Soifon or whoever banner, right? I plan to try to pull for this one on a major celebration, and then I'm going to go light on the next celebration, and then when we get to Half Annie, that's when I'm going to go again for another dupe. That's how I'm sort of thinking about it, is I don't want to go for dupes outside of major celebrations where the characters are sort of made to be exceptional. So hopefully it's Shunsui, hopefully it's like Okieta or Vastal or Ichigo, but I would not want to commit without it being something like, pretty exceptional. So let's give it a go. Let's prime this banner. If we hit, we scream. Ah! Okay, nothing there. It's fine. Obviously, I'm not like, oh my god, this is it, guys. I'm gonna hit. So it'd be just crazy if we did. So lucky hit. Nothing this time. Okay. So that's fine. Like I said, we're just priming the banner. 23 out of 80. We got some back as well, which we're probably going to end up putting into weapon stamp. But who knows? Maybe we'll go the other way. Well, I mean, actually, it'll probably go here, and then we'll use it to pull for Nell. But those are 2 pulls. That would have been huge. I'm not gonna lie. That would have been pretty crazy. But yeah, this is my Kenpachi as of you know, February the 18th, or February the 17th. I don't think I'll make any changes to him long term. Maybe I'll grab more core stamps. I know I've actually seen on Reddit, you know, because I browse Reddit looking, you know, things to talk about, things to, you know, sort of discuss. But I've seen people discuss that the Trial 25 is beatable with core stamp dupes, which is interesting. Specifically Gein's core stamp. If you don't know, and this will be the last thing we talk about, if you're someone who's like, you know, I can't really pull to maximize like banners on weapons and the characters themselves, but what could I also do? You gotta remember that characters like Gein have massive buffs to their core stamps, right? So it's literally like just stat bonuses for his that's absolutely insane, right? Like 50% here, 75% here, and ailment mastery. Like ailment mastery, by the way, being what seems to be like a multiplicative buff in battle. Like it's really powerful. So if you get that up, if you dupe his core stamp, if you look for his core stamp, like say every time a character comes out, you go to the core stamp, you know, obviously, you know, you select it, you go, oh, you know, Kenpachi came out, I'm going to click Kenpachi, target it, grab one, and then you just go back to your favorite character, go back to your Geins, go back. You will see an insane increase in overall power, because if we go here, and actually, we'll just compare it really quickly. So if we go here, and we go to Ichi, 8%, you know, blah, 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 40%, etc. And then we go to the one I have, which this was all RNG, by the way. I didn't even, you know, attempt this, but 20% and up to 200%. 200% on ult damage increase, right? So these really do become like exponential in a really big way. And again, just to, you know, reiterate, from 80% to 200%, you know. So I do think it's worth it. I do think it's like, if you can snag some core stamp dupes, it is not a bad idea. But obviously you would be doing that during celebrations where maybe you're not pulling for Grimjaw, maybe you don't care about Nell, maybe you don't care about Kenpachi, maybe you don't care about, you know, Gein or Toshido, or, you know, maybe Aizen, you know what I mean? Like, you could use those resources, especially with the targeted pull system. I don't think it's as difficult to just happen upon these core stamps anymore. I know, I mean, it's still RNG at the end of the day, but I have 60? I essentially have 60 of these, and I haven't pulled since Kenpachi banner drop, or like since we got the Kenpachi core stamp. So it adds up really fast. I'm not gonna lie, like they do accumulate pretty fast. Considering you spend these 5 at a time, I have 10 runs, you know, 11. You know, like we have a lot of runs in this here to do. So there's that. Yeah, just wanted to talk about that. Banners are primed for Neliel's release. We will not be getting anything extra, sadly. We are at 19,873 Jade for her coming up, which is, by my account, you know, pretty good. We'll have to see if we do end up committing to the dupe, but for now, I'd say I'm liking my odds. I am liking my odds. Well, like your video, subscribe, join the club. We all go make it, and peace.